Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the FCPA Compliance Report. First, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? You wanted to talk about something in the compliance or compliance-related field, but really had no idea how to get started? Take a listen from our sponsor, One Stone Creative.
If you are enjoying this show, you might enjoy hosting your own. As an expert in your field, you have skills, knowledge, and insight that can help you expand your practice, meet new people, and create amazing content to share with the world. In as little as 2 hours a week, you can dramatically change how you promote, fill, and position your business. And One Stone Creative can show you how. Learn more at onestonecreative.net.
Today I have with me Sarah Hadden. Sarah is probably known in the compliance community as having been the managing editor at Corporate Compliance Insights. She's recently taken over as owner and founder-in-chief of Corporate Compliance Insights from the founder, Maurice Gilbert. The site has been redesigned, and Sarah hopes to really ramp up the site and take it in many new directions. Sarah talks about her journey to Corporate Compliance Insights and what she hopes to achieve with the upgrade to the site. It's a fascinating exploration. I know you will enjoy it, and I know you're going to want to subscribe to the site and check it out on a regular basis. The FCPA Compliance Report is also now on Corporate Compliance Insights. Finally, the FCPA Compliance Report is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, back for another episode, and you're in for a real treat today because I have with me one of my favorite people, Sarah Hadden. She is the publisher, owner, head bottle washer, and everything else at Corporate Compliance Insights. So, Sarah, with that no doubt descriptive moniker, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Tom. I'm thrilled to be here today.
So, Sarah, first of all, I don't know how many of our listeners would be familiar with you, but why don't you describe your professional background, how you got to CCI, and what your role is now?
Sure. I'm happy to do that. Well, my background, aside from a brief stint waiting tables when I was in college, is journalism. I worked as a newspaper reporter and an editor for, 25, almost 30 years. Ouch. Yeah, 30 years. I did a brief stint in public relations too, but really the PR advertising side just never grabbed me the way news editorial does, which is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about the changes at CCI, because I've kind of come full circle, journalism to marketing, back to journalism again. In fact, if I may, I would like to just talk about that a little bit more and give your listeners a sense of CCI's origins as a publication and how the website has evolved over the past decade. Can I do that?
Absolutely. Please do.
Well, as many of your listeners know, CCI was previously owned by Concellium Executive Search, and it was founded by Concellium's founder, Maurice Gilbert, who's widely known and revered in compliance circles as an executive recruiter, specializing in hiring compliance officers and risk managers. And I joined forces with Maurice in 2012, early 2011. I had a business partner at the time, and the concept of content marketing was in its infancy. And by content marketing, I'm referring to the tactic of giving away valuable information online as a way to build an audience and build website traffic. So with my business partner at the time, we created CCI from scratch as a content marketing tool, as a way to attract compliance thought leaders. We thought that if we created a platform where people could talk about compliance and risk, it would widen Maurice's professional network as a recruiter. And it worked in that capacity very well from day one. And it's funny, I look back on those early scrappy days in the early days of CCI. It was really a trip. We knew what we were doing from a marketing standpoint. We knew how to build websites. We knew how to drive traffic. But I had no compliance background, none whatsoever. And of course, as publishers, we weren't alone in that space. There were other excellent online sources of GRC news and jobs. But we managed, I think, to get a toehold by aligning ourselves with some emerging and established voices Notable among them, Tom Fox, is you. You were a prolific and valuable contributor from day one. And, I look back on that time and I think of some of the other voices from the early days that we are still proud to publish regularly. I think of Michael Volkov, Jim Deloach of Protivity, Matt Ellis with his focus on Latin America, and Frank Bucaro from the early days, such a strong presence in the ethics realm, so many others. But in terms of CCI and its evolution, it performed that content marketing role so well that it simply outgrew it. The traffic grew, the audience grew, and now CCI has spun off. It's standing on its own 2 feet. It's spun off from Maurice, who retired in January, retired as publisher of CCI. And in taking over the reins, I'm just delighted to note, Tom, that this baby of ours has all grown up. Marketing's in the back seat now. Journalism is driving. And we're really looking forward to the new voices and the new readers that are ahead of us.
So that brings us to the new CCI. And you spent several months completely redesigning the website interface, how it looks. You want to describe the process, and then what do we see when we look at corporate compliance insights today?
Yeah, we did start with the website. I mean, there were some underpinnings of strategy going on in the past 60 days as well, but my focus primarily was in putting on a new face, giving the website a facelift. And we have redesigned it a couple of times through the years, but this time I knew that I needed to take it from the appearance of a blog to looking more like the role that it was growing into, which is a news site. So yeah, we've been consumed with that redesign for quite a while, and we're happy to have launched it just last week. As a matter of fact, we made that deadline. It's exciting to look at what we are hoping to accomplish now that is done. And I will say that some of it's personal and some of it's business. It really is exciting to be charting a course for this well-known, well-established publication, but without being obliged to serve a particular brand or even to hit a revenue target, without corporate ownership, without partners, without sponsors. You've got autonomy. You can roam around the neighborhood and explore all the alleyways. It's like we're the same cat, but we're just not a house cat anymore, if that makes sense. No longer a house cat. And new writers are headed our way. As you know, much of our content, a great portion of it over the years has been contributed content from writers who came to us. They reached out to CCI. That was always an excellent way to get in the door, and it still is. So to your listeners, if you want to write for CCI, give me a call. We'll talk about it. But what's different now is that now we are reaching out. I've always been a voracious reader, but now I am a voracious stalker. So if you're active in compliance and you see my face pop up as having looked at your LinkedIn profile, for example, I'm probably about to send you a message to introduce myself, to say that I've noticed you, and to invite you to join the conversation here at CCI.
So in addition to garnering some new writers and columnists, where else, what are some of the other things you hope to achieve with the new CCI, Sarah?
Well, I was hoping to be a guest on a podcast, so we can check that box off now, can't we? No, but seriously, podcasts and multimedia are a huge, huge focus for us. I have a wonderful new multimedia editor and a talented developer, and we're figuring out the ins and outs of hosting a compliance podcast directory on the site, the foundation of which is your Compliance Podcast Network. We'll be adding new podcasts, and we intend to be launching a sponsored webinars area soon. So look for lots of new multimedia offerings from CCI going forward.
So Sarah, I've noticed you've already been able to get a couple of new columnists. Could you tell us about them?
Yeah, Jay Rosen joined us for our kickoff, and that's a voice that you know well, and your listeners do also. He'll be speaking about monitoring or any other subject that happens to pop into his brain. His debut column last week, he wrote from his hotel room during Mardi Gras, in between happy hours, I think he said in the email. So that was a fun way to get started, and we're looking forward to what he has next. And then just today, as a matter of fact, on the site, we've introduced Sandra Erez. She is with Vinci Works, and she is what I would call an emerging writer, only in that she's not been published elsewhere before. But Sandra is a writer from the heart. She really has the chops to look at the compliance landscape, find some balance and perspective in her life experiences, which are varied and are many. And she manages to put them on a page in a way that's informative and entertaining for our readers. So we're very excited to be introducing her today.
And near and dear to my heart, Sarah, is you have greatly expanded the podcast listings and the podcast sections at CCI.
Yes.
I don't think we have to tell the audience about all of my podcasts, but you certainly have some others. You want to tell us about those?
You know what? Great Women in Compliance is one that we're particularly excited about, and you may have included them in that statement when you said we didn't need to tell people about the ones in your network, but I can't not give a shout out to Mary Shirley and Lisa Fine. CCI is going to be joining them as a presenting sponsor for a portion of their podcasts each month, and we are absolutely thrilled to be connecting and networking and making contact with women in compliance and risk who are doing important things around the world. So that's one that I am very, very happy to highlight. We have some others that are sort of still in discussions that will be rolling out and debuting shortly. So maybe we'll touch on those in a future conversation.
So what are some of the other things that perhaps are percolating in your head that you might consider down the road, Sarah?
Well, I will say that, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a compliance officer, and I'm not even a subject matter expert when it comes to compliance and risk, not by far. But I do know how to develop writers. I know how to listen and to respond to readers. So as far as where CCI is headed, I feel like that's up to you, to the compliance community, your listeners, the professionals around the globe who write for us, who read us every day, and who are in the trenches every day doing their important work. So while I say I'm happy to be driving, the compliance community is going to have to tell me where to go.
Well, Sarah, it's pretty exciting stuff. I was wondering if anyone wanted to get in touch with you on any of the things they've heard about, whether they would like to submit a column or perhaps an article. How would they get in touch with you, and how would they find out more about CCI?
I would love to hear from anyone who is already publishing or someone who wants to write and has not yet been published. We're happy to talk to writers about topics, to explore the kinds of content offerings they might share with us. Articles are certainly something that we consider every day. Press releases, we're also open to that. Ebooks, we offer design and editorial services. Podcasts, as Tom mentioned, and coming soon are webinars. So do reach out to us about content offerings. Visit us at our new website, world's longest URL, corporatecomplianceinsights.com. If you visit the About Us page, you can find my email address and phone number and get right to me. We'd love to hear from you anytime, and we are quick to follow up and would love to have that kind of conversation.
And I would just say, once again, for the compliance practitioner out there, this is one of the really handful of top resources for you. It's got great articles. It's got great content. Did I mention the price? Let me mention that again. It's free. So if I didn't spell that correctly, that's FREE. So it's been a great resource, and I can only wait to see where you take it, Sarah. So many thanks and congratulations.
And thank you. If I could just add how grateful I am, speaking of thanks, just a big thank you to the universe, to Maurice Gilbert, and to the wonderful people that I get to work with every day, including a shout out to my amazing editor, Emily Ellis. She's been with me almost since day one. CCI's high standards, I think, are testament to Emily's high standards and talents. She's really been a huge part of it. Getting CCI to this point has been a joyride, Tom. It's been a long, strange trip, but mostly an honor to serve the compliance community. And with your help and that of others like you, we look forward to doing it for years to come. Thanks so much, Tom.
Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox again. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this podcast with Sarah Hadden as much as I did recording it. Sarah's one of the most enthusiastic people I know, and I frankly cannot wait to see what she does with the CCI site. I'm going to link to it in the show notes, but it's corporatecomplianceinsights.com. I hope you will check it out, and I hope you will subscribe. Also, this podcast, the FCPA Compliance Report, is going to be listed, as will all podcasts, on the Compliance Podcast Network on the new CCI site. This is Tom Fox. Thank you very much for joining me this week, and I hope you will join me again next week when I take a look at another issue in the FCPA Compliance Report. The FCPA Compliance Report is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.